Alright, welcome to another Blender user YouTube channel. My name's Luca, and I'll be teaching you how to create this sort of fiery, trippy texture. It's inspired by Daniel Bystedt. Basically, it's inspired by his EV Tiger test that he did. And I'll be teaching you how to create that sort of texture procedurally. Alright, let's get started. So you want to start off with a plane. It could be a cube, it could be a sphere, it could be Suzanne if you want. It doesn't really matter, but I'm just going to use a plane. Go to your shading workspace and just hit new. And I'm going to go here and hit Z8. So what you want to do is just delete your principled BSDF. We won't need it for now. And all you want to do is just hit Shift A, go input, and then find your texture coordinate node. Make sure you have the Node Wrangler add-on installed. It will be up in your Preferences tab. And basically just hit install. It'll save your life. So then when you have that installed, press Control Shift left click, and you'll see that you get to preview these output sockets, and just go down to you preview the object one. This is just your coordinates, so this will determine where our shader will be on the plane. Next you want to hit Shift A, go Voronoi, and just pop it in there. What this is going to do is we're going to use this to create the individual cells for our fire shader. We'll stretch this out later on, and then we'll add the colors in a bit. So right now we just want to create a mask for the colors. So it's basically a black and white map, and it'll determine where colors should be and where they won't be. So right now we're just going to go Shift A, go Math, and just plug it in. But you'll notice that we've used the color socket. Doesn't look too good, so just go up here, cross that out. So that's using Control right click, and just drag the distance into the top value. Then what you want to do is you want to switch it from add to less than. This will create a sort of constant looking value of just black and white. And if you want to just change this to 0.53 instead of 0.5. Not much of a difference, just sort of scaling it up a bit. Alright, next we want to choose our colors. Just go Shift A, Color Ramp, and we'll use this to determine, the different colors that we have. Who knew? Anyway, go click the color socket, drag it down into the factor, and just Control Shift left click to view our colors. Basically what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to add 4 different colors: green, blue, red, and yellow. I won't make them too bright, just something like that. Oops. And I'll just add in our colors. You can add in whatever you want. I'm just trying to make something based off of the shaker. Alright, so now that you have all your colors in, you'll notice that it looks okay. Doesn't look very cool. You got a sort of random distribution of colors, so we're gonna fix that. Click this little down arrow and go distribute stops from left. This sort of splits them evenly from the left, and you'll notice that we still got these gradients. We want to fix that again. Go linear and click constant, and as you can see, we now have different blocks of colors. You'll notice now that we have these sort of block shapes, but we also have spheres. Now it's going to look weird when we mix them together, because we'll have these sort of, large, blocky shaped pieces that are being masked out by spheres. So we want to fix that. Go F1 and change that to smooth to F1, and change Euclidean to Manhattan. Alright, now we should have our sort of blocky sort of colors, and you'll notice that we'll have them here as well. They should be somewhat of the same shape. So go Shift A, go Mix RGB, get your Mix RGB node, plug the value into the factor, and the color from the color ramp into the bottom color, and we'll change this one here to black. Now when we click it, we got this nice mix. Looks very cool, doesn't it? Alright, if you want, you can change the scale. I'm going to set it to 7.63, just so it's a bit smaller. And there we go. Now this looks kind of boring. It's, doesn't look like what's shown in the video, and we'll fix this by stretching the image out. So I'm going to go Shift A, go Converter, and go Vector Math. And what this is going to do is when we switch this to Multiply, we can now change the scale. So I'm going to just click and drag down from the top value and set that to 0.5, and change this middle one to set it to 2.27. Okay, so then now we have it all scaled out. Next thing we want to do is sort of create that fiery wispiness. So we want to basically distort the image a bit. We want to make it look a bit more curvy. So what we're going to do is we'll duplicate this vector math node and just plug it right there. We'll change this to add, and we can just set all these values to 0. Alright, then what we'll do is we'll add in a noise texture, texture and noise. If you want to find it quickly, just press N and you got it there. But you'll notice here that the image gets completely distorted. We want to fix that. Just go here, Shift A, we'll lessen the distortion a little bit by adding in a math. Go here, plug that in. Oh, and switch the color to factor. So Control, right click and drag, and then factor into factor. There you go. And you'll notice that it hasn't really lessened the distortion. So what we do is we grab the object coordinate again and we plug it into there. Oh, and switch add to multiply. And we'll switch that value to something lower, like 0.31. So 0.31. Starting to look a bit more fiery. We'll change the scale of this to like 2, maybe a proper detail all the way down as well. And there we go. It looks like we sort of got the pattern that we want. But what next? Let's try animating it. So go Shift right click, and that'll just put a little reroute node there. And we'll add another vector math node. So Shift D to duplicate, put that there. And then just to animate these and view these better, we'll just do Shift A, Converter, Combine XYZ, and plug it in there. Pros of doing this is we can plug in something like noise texture, and we can plug it into the individual sockets rather than having the one input, and so that'll allow us to animate things like the location randomly. That's a little tip for you guys. See? Anyways, we don't want to do that. We just want to slide it along the location. So we'll bring up our timeline. We'll switch that to timeline. And we'll basically just animate our values. So click this, set that to something like, just leave it there. Just right click, insert keyframe, go to the end of our animation, and just drag it by a little bit more. So just left click, shift, and drag it slowly. And then right click, insert keyframe. Now we want to do the same thing for the Z coordinate. What that'll do is it'll change the pattern randomly like that. So we'll go to the start of the animation again. Go right click, insert keyframe, go to the end, and just click and drag, and go insert keyframe. So there we go, now it's looking animated. Now what we can do is we can add an emission shader. So go all the way to the end, Shift A, go shader and emission, and just plug that in there. You'll notice that we're getting this red line, meaning the connection doesn't work. So what's happening is it's going BSDF into color, and that doesn't work like that. But it's okay, we can fix it by going Control, Shift, left click, Emission Shader, and just crank up the strength to something like 2. Go back to your layout, go to your properties panel, click the render properties, and turn on bloom. We can go back to our shading workspace, and look at that, it glows. So this is just how to create the texture part of it. If you want to see how to make the hair, make it look more realistic, like and subscribe for a part 2.
Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the description. Thank you.
Adios.